Hi everyone, hope you're all doing well. I wanted to share with you a short propagation guide I put together last year. And this guide summarizes the propagation techniques I've used and refined over the years. It's a live electronic document that I'll continually update with different bits and pieces. I'm not sure where it will be hosted permanently, but I'm sure at the end of this little talk, a link to its current whereabouts could be posted. So I developed this easy-to-use guide that beginners could refer to and build upon as they develop and refine their own propagation techniques and style. And I think it's a really good idea to share your results with the wider plant community so that we can all learn together. And growing trees, of course, begins with the seed. So the best time to germinate acacia seeds is in early spring as it starts to warm up, with plenty of rainfall and soft sunlight. And coincidentally, this is the first day of spring here in Australia, September 1st, is also our National Wattle Day. So each year I always make a point of germinating seeds on this day. Now place your seeds in a mug or similar. I like to use this little glass measuring jug and pour in boiling hot water, covering the seeds by a few centimeters. And here we're replicating a bushfire scenario where the short-lived intense heat triggers the dormant seeds in the soil to wake up. You may notice some seeds float to the surface, and this usually indicates that the seeds have not developed properly or have been damaged and are likely not viable. I usually just keep them there on the chance that they may be viable, however you can choose to remove them. At this stage I like to inoculate the seeds once the water has cooled down, and I do this by adding a small amount of soil collected from around the roots of a healthy wild acacia. Ideally of the species you're actually trying to cultivate, but if you don't have access to that, just collect some soil from acacias in your area. And this introduces a symbiotic soil bacteria called rhizobia, which fixes nitrogen to the tree, helping it grow more vigorously. So we stir in the inoculation soil into the seed soup and allow it to soak for 24 to 48 hours. Then simply strain the seeds with a little kitchen strainer or whatever you have on hand. So at this stage you'll notice that the seeds have swollen, having absorbed some of the water and hopefully some bacteria too. The seeds are quite sticky here, so I like to place them on a paper towel for an hour or so just to dry out slightly, and this makes them much easier to handle. To prepare the germination media, I mix together 50% cocoa coir, 30% perlite, 10% granitic sand, and 10% small river stone. I don't use exact measurements, I just sort of eyeball it. So I mix all those ingredients together, but if you don't have access to any of those ingredients, really just don't worry about it and continue with whatever you can. So we need to choose a germination tray. The small one on the left is suitable for about 10 to 20 seeds, and the larger one can suit 100 plus seeds. So fill up your germination tray with the media, leaving a centimeter gap from the top of the tray. A nifty little trick is to place another tray on top of the media and gently push down, creating a nice flat surface. Place the seeds down flat on the surface of the media, with ideally a 1 centimeter gap between each seed. At this stage I like to sprinkle some more inoculation soil on top too. Cover the seeds with some more germination media, filling the tray up to the top, and sprinkle a small layer of river stone on top. And the reason for doing this is it helps to anchor the seedlings down in the loose media we've created, as their taproot is so strong that upon germination they can often push themselves out of the media, exposing their roots to sunlight, which will lead to their downfall. So just adding a little bit of weight on top helps to sort of anchor them down. And again, I like to sprinkle some more inoculation soil just to be sure. So set your tray on a heat mat or a heated propagation table. I like to set the temperature to about 23 degrees in an area of good airflow. Alternatively, if you don't have anything like that, just set it in a warm place with good light and water daily. After 2 to 4 weeks, you'll start to see the seeds germinating. Don't touch them straight away, just give them a week or two more to establish. Once the seedlings are 1 to 2 centimeters tall, gently pluck them out using a dipstick, which is like a small pencil, skewer or chopstick, angled down to the bottom of the tray next to the seedling. And with your other hand gently holding the seedling, jiggle it and pry it up from the bottom, from underneath, with the dipstick. And the loose media we created allows for the seedlings to come free easily without damaging the delicate and important taproot. It's a good idea to pot only a few up at a time, as they can dry out really quickly if left exposed, even for a few minutes on a hot day. I like to set 5 to 10 at a time on a little plate covered with a moist paper towel whilst potting up. So prepare your potting mix by combining 70% native potting mix, 10% perlite, 10% granitic sand, and 10% 3mm riverstone. And again, these are just rough measurements. As well as a little bit of inoculation soil again, and some native slow release fertilizer. A lot of people have trouble finding granitic sand. I just get it from a building supply place locally. If you can't get it, just don't worry about it. So we'll mix those ingredients together. So back to the seedlings. So once they're plucked out, here you can see a distinct change between the stem and where the root begins. And when potting up, you want to line the top of the soil with the beginning of the stem. And in potting into a native tree tube, it's a good idea to first fill a couple of centimeters at the bottom of the tube with your potting mix and just lightly compress it down. Hold the seedling and gently fill in around it, aiming for the beginning of the stem to be about 1/2 centimeter or so below the top of the tube. And this actually creates a reservoir to capture more water during irrigation. So press in the corners of the tube, and that fills any underlying air pockets, and then top it up with some more potting mix, and then water in with a seaweed solution such as sea salt. Water the seedlings daily and occasionally with sea salt. The small soil volume of the tubes only holds a limited amount of soil nutrient, so it's important to top dress or sprinkle some slow release fertilizer on top every few months. So there you have it. In 4 to 6 months, you should have a nice tree ready to plant out. And here's a photo of one of these trees in the wild. Absolutely beautiful. They can actually grow a lot bigger in cultivation when they're not competing for resources. And you can grow them in pots, like bigger pots. But after a few years, you'll notice that they become unhappy. And ultimately, they want to be in the ground so that they can reach their potential. And that concludes this brief walkthrough of the guide. I hope you found it useful. Thank you all very much for listening, and until next time, wish you all the best. Bye.